Hi, and welcome to our biology presentation. Today, we're going to be talking about invasive species and their effects on biodiversity, presented by.
Olivia Armstrong.
Maya Fernandez.
Rosa Torres.
Sydney Alberton.
Joseph Lopez.
And William Parsons, and we are group A16.
First, we're going to talk about biodiversity and its importance. So when we refer to biodiversity, we're referring to the richness of life on Earth. This refers to all the encompassing organisms, their genetic differences, and their interactions within the ecosystem. When we talk about the richness of life, again, we're talking about the variety of organisms. So this refers to the different species of animals, fungi, plants, and microorganisms. The genetic differences, this refers to variations within the species that contribute to their adaptability. Communities and ecosystem, this is just where they live and how they interact with each other. And then ecological and evolutionary processes, which these are processes that allow ecosystems to function and adapt over time. Biodiversity is very important and crucial because it's the foundation of a healthy planet and influences human well-being. Biodiversity supports a stable ecosystem, and having a biodiverse ecosystem provides services like water purification, pest control, and nutrient cycling.
Okay, so to continue, what categorizes invasive species? So invasive species are mostly for next to another country. They cause environmental harm by competing for food resource, habitat, and by leading to extinction of native species. Uh, they are they are mostly adapted to different conditions. Um, they disrupt the balance ecosystem as they try to like compete with other native species, and they breed quickly. As you can see here in the pictures, there are different species.
So the first species we're going to be talking about is the cane toad, and they are large amphibians that are invasive in Florida and Australia.
The second species that we're going to be talking about today are the apple snails, and these are typically found in tropical and subtropical fresh or areas. And these are freshwater snails from the family Amploretidae and also referred to as Pilidae.
The third species that we're going to talk about is brown rat, which is known as the Rattus norvegicus, which is mostly known as the Norway rat, which is native from forest areas but can span along the human population. They can be also they can also be I mean, they are nearly every in every city in the world. You can find them on oceanic islands and forest.
All right, so the cane toad, they can be found in parts of South America and Mexico, and as stated before, Florida and Australia.
For the apple snail, they are widespread across the globe, but they can be found in almost the entire African continent, thriving in a variety of freshwater habitats. In Southeast Asia, these snails are also common, adapting to the warm aquatic environments. Additionally, a large area of South and Central America is home to apple snails, where they have established significant populations. Their ability to adapt to different climates and environments have contributed to their extensive distribution.
Brown rats can be found on urban areas. As you know, in New York, there's a lot of rats that are like large, as you know, and they're also can be located on oceanic islands, such as the Falkland Island, which is all the way down South America.
So cane toads are fascinating creatures known for their opportunistic predators, known for being opportunistic predators, which means they have a diverse diet that includes a wide variety of small insects and some plants. This allows them to thrive in different habitats, but they also pose as a serious threat due to the potent toxins within their glands which can be located behind their ears and shoulders. These toxins can be extremely harmful to or fatal to animals that attempt to eat them. And then some background information about cane toads is that they come from South and Central America and they mainly eat insects. They were brought into Australia in 1935 to help control pests like beetles from destroying crops in the sugarcane fields before the use of chemical pesticides were common among farmers.
Some descriptions of cane toads are that they can be reddish brown or grayish brown. And as stated before, behind their eyes, they have toxic glands that can uh, injure or fatally injure animals that try to eat them. They can range from anywhere from 6 to 9 inches in length, and you can tell them apart from other toads because they do not have crests on top of their head. And some characteristics of a cane toad is that they are omnivores, and so they eat plants and bugs and small birds and reptiles and even other toads. And they are mostly found in front yards, backyards, or near canals. And then the impact that these toads have on the ecosystem is that they prey on and compete with native species for resources like food and water, and they are highly toxic to predators that try to eat them, which include pets.
So the second species we're going to talk about is apple snails. They are fascinating freshwater mollusks, easily recognizable for their distinctive glossy spiral-shaped shells. These shells are often bright in color, with wild apple snails displaying hues that range from vibrant yellow to rich brown. Their attractive appearance makes them popular amongst aquarium enthusiasts. However, apple snails are just not visually striking. They are also known for their rapid reproduction rates. This reproduction prowess allows them to quickly establish large populations in new environments. Their adaptability to various aquatic settings means that they can thrive in diverse conditions, from ponds to flowing rivers. Unfortunately, this adaptability and prolific nature have made them invasive in some areas where they outcompete native species and disrupt local ecosystems. Their presence in such regions possess significant challenges to biodiversity and water management efforts.
Here is the background of apple snails. So apple snails were first introduced to South America and quickly spread to Northern America and Asia. We can now see them in the United States in California, Florida, Louisiana, and Arizona. So apple snails are small gastropods and have a lifespan of 2 to 3 years, but they reproduce very rapidly, like Liv mentioned in the previous slide. And then they lay their eggs in clusters, and these clusters are going to be light pink clusters, which are shown in the slide. And their clusters contain about 100 to thousands of eggs, and this makes them reproduce very rapidly and their population grow. They have gills and lungs, which allow them to live in and outside of the water, but mainly they tend to stay in the water. And they lay their eggs above the waterline in the aquatic environments that they tend to live in. Liv also mentioned that they are also very adaptable in their environment that they live in.
So more about their characteristics and description is that there are invertebrates showcasing several distinctive characteristics. One of their most notable features is their round and symmetrical shell, adding to the aesthetic appeal. The coloration of the shells can be quite striking, often ranging from bright yellow to deep brown. In wild specimen, often with stripes or dimples, and the most common color found in aquarium shops is a vibrant gold shell. Other color variations include ivory, which resembles an albino gold, blue, which has an off-white shell and a dark, almost purple foot, and jade, featuring a golden shell and a dark purple foot. Selective breeding in the aquarium trade has created these color variations, and some of the rare hues are highly prized, often commanding high prices. Apple snails are also omnivores, feeding on a diverse diet that includes plant matter, algae, and small invertebrates. These varied diets contribute to their adaptability to thrive in a different aquatic environments as they easily adapt to the available food resources. Another interesting aspect of apple snails is their sexual dimorphism. In this species, adult females are typically larger than males. The size difference becomes apparent as they mature, with females growing bigger to support their reproductive functions, which include laying eggs. This growth pattern helps with identification and study of these snails in both wild and controlled environments.
Right, so here's the impact that apple snails leave on environments. Since we mentioned that they are very adaptable to aquatic environments and environments in general, this just means that they're going to be overpopulated in environments and they're going to outnumber other species in the environments. And they negatively impact wetland ecosystems, aquatic crops, aquatic ecosystems, and humans because they carry diseases. This leads to negative consequences for other species that they feed on because the apple snails are ruining these plants and their food and shelter that they usually typically rely on to live. Recently, apple snails have been seen to have a negative effect on crawfish and capturing crawfish in Louisiana. They have been seen to be in ponds, and this is just due to the overpopulation of the apple snails. And these apple snails are going into the nets and blocking the way for crawfish to go into. So no crawfish is being caught in Louisiana.
So the third species is brown rat. A little bit background about it is that they are the largest members of the mouse family. They are the largest pest as they can cause diseases in humans like typhus, which is a disease from fleas and lice. And they can also damage property. They live around 4 years, but they can live like 2 years in the wild. They can easily be mistaken with black rats as they have similar colors, but you can easily like differences them as brown rats have a temporal ridges, which is like the curve you can see here in the picture, and black rats are straight, so you can take them apart. Also, the mating occur in warmer months of the year, and females can give birth around 7 times a year. They also are used for medical and genetic research.
Some characteristics and descriptions about the brown rat is that they have short, dense fur that cover their bodies. This short, dense fur covers most of their bodies except for their tail, their ears, and their nose. They range about 400 millimeters in size from nose to tail and weigh about 140 to 500 grams. They communicate by vocalizing and using visual posture. So the vocalization, they use ultrasonic vocalization, which is measured in kilohertz. So depending on the kilohertz that is used, they're communicating different things. As well with their visual posture and their body language, this is another way that they communicate. So by having like their tail move, this can indicate that they're happy or that they're angry. They communicate with their ears wiggling. This is something that females use to demonstrate that they're ready to mate, as well as their back arching. They're foragers, which just means that they will eat basically anything that they can find. Again, these rats are found amongst all of human population, so the diet differentiates between each rat. They're most active at dusk and at night, and they're polygnadrous, which just means that both females and males have different sexual partners throughout their life. Males reach sexual maturity at about 3 months, where females reach sexual maturity at about 4 months. Like Rosa mentioned, their mating is not seasonal, but it does happen in warmer months. And a female can have up to 7 litters in a year, which each litter consisting of 8 pups. And the female actually goes into estrus, which is just heat, 18 hours after giving birth, again, which kind of goes hand in hand with this being an invasive species and then being able to reproduce very quickly. The impact that these threats have is that they can cost industries millions of dollars annually. They can contaminate food, destroy crops, and damage property. They can also spread diseases. A disease that they can tend to spread is the bubonic plague. They cause big impacts on the environment, so they prevent woodlands from regenerating, and they harm tropical island species through predation, competition, and extinction.
So just as a conclusion, biodiversity and its importance was given by Maya. What categorizes invasive species was given by Rosa, and the species for cane toad was given by myself and Joseph. Apple snail was Sydney and Olivia, and brown rat was Rosa and Maya. These are our references. And thank you for viewing and have a good day.